Imagine discovering that the people entrusted to protect you have already decided you're going to die. Not strangers, not enemy soldiers, not assassins climbing over the wall in the dead of the night. People who serve your meals, people who guard your doors, people who walk your halls every single day. Some carry messages, some carry secrets, others carry weapons. And somewhere behind closed doors, a conspiracy is taking shape, carefully planned, patiently organised. Every participant understands exactly what's at stake. If the plot succeeds, the most powerful man in the country will be dead. If it fails, every conspirator will almost certainly lose their own lives. This isn't an act of deception. It isn't a crime committed in anger. It is calculated, methodical, and according to surviving evidence, months in the making. At the centre of all this stands a woman. She believes her son is denied his rightful future. She believes another man is about to inherit everything: power, influence, authority. She has reached one terrifying conclusion. If her son is ever going to rule, someone else has to die. So she begins recruiting allies, trusted officials, members of the household, people who can move unnoticed through corridors of power. Secret messages began to circulate, promises are made, favours exchanged, loyalty quietly bought. The conspiracy grows. An intended victim appears completely unaware, or perhaps he knows more than everyone realises. Because for more than 3,000 years, historians can't even agree on the most important question: did the assassination actually succeed? Or did the intended victim somehow survive long enough to identify those responsible? For centuries, the answers remain hidden. The surviving records appeared to contradict one another. Some suggest he lived, others hinted he died immediately. The body itself offered fewer obvious clues. It would take modern forensic science, CT scanning, and one astonishing discovery to reveal the final truth. But before we solve one of history's oldest murder investigations, we have to understand how the conspiracy began. Who wanted this man dead and why? And how did the plot involving a member of his own household remain hidden until it was almost too late? I'm Lisa, and this is Say It Anyway. Today's documentary is based on archaeological discoveries surviving documents, Egyptology, oh my god. Research and modern forensic examinations. That word did not want to come out, and clearly it doesn't want to start today. Some parts of this story are supported by remarkable physical evidence. Others remain the subject of debate among historians. Where facts are established, I'll tell you. Where historians disagree, I'll make it clear. Because today's investigation isn't about repeating legends, it's about following the evidence. To understand this conspiracy, we first need to understand the man who is at its centre. He wasn't simply wealthy, he wasn't merely influential. He occupied the highest position in the land. His decisions affected millions of people. His signature could change lives. His approval determined careers. His household was enormous. Officials, servants, guards, scribes, messengers, craftsmen, priests. Every day hundreds of people passed through the palace, a place he called home. From the outside, his position appeared untouchable. Power on the scales often created illusion of safety. History tells us otherwise, again and again. The greatest threats of powerful leaders haven't come from invading armies and enemies. They've come from people already standing beside them. Friends, family, trusted advisors. And that's exactly where this story begins. Not on a battlefield, not in a foreign kingdom, but inside one of the most heavily protected households in the world. At first glance, everything appears stable. The country was prosperous. Its institutions remained strong. Its leader had ruled for decades. Yet beneath the surface, tensions were quietly building. Like many powerful rulers throughout history, he had more than one wife. More than one branch of the family. More than one possible heir. Succession had always been the most dangerous moment in politics. History is filled with brothers turning against brothers, sons overthrowing fathers, and ambitious families willing to kill for the crown. This household was no different. One queen believed her son deserved to inherit power. Instead, another prince stood at the front of the line. According to the survival records, that decision became the spark that ignited everything that follows. The Queen's name was Tay. Very little known is about herself beyond surviving in the ancient records. Like many royal women of history, she left behind few monuments, few inscriptions and few personal accounts. Most of what we know comes from documents produced after the conspiracy had already been uncovered. That means historians must be careful. These records were created by official investigators and attempted assassination. They weren't intended to prove a balanced biography. Even so, one detail appears consistent. Tay wanted her son, Pantaware, to become the next ruler. Whether that ambition came from genuine belief, political calculation, or pressure from others is simply something we cannot know. But according to the surviving evidence, she began to gather supporters inside the royal household. And that's where the conspiracy truly becomes extraordinary. Because it wasn't simply a family disagreement. It became an organised political plot. Investigators writing thousands of years ago described a network stretching far beyond one unhappy queen. Court officials, household servants, members of the royal family and personal guard. Military personnel, even individuals connected with magic and religious rituals. According to the papyri, messages were secretly passed between conspirators. Supporters were recruited, favours were promised, and attempts were allegedly made to encourage unrest beyond the palace walls. Some historians believe the conspirators hoped to create enough confusion that the planned succession could be overturned. Others argue their primary objective was much simpler. Kill the ruler, place Pantaware on the throne, secure power before anybody could respond. Exactly how many people became involved remains uncertain. Different ancient documents mention different names. Some individuals only appear briefly. Others were clearly considered central figures, and together they reveal something remarkable. This wasn't one person acting alone. This was a coordinated conspiracy, and if the ancient investigators were correct, it reached inside the very heart of the royal household. For centuries, this may have remained little more than an extraordinary story. Then archaeologists made an astonishing discovery. An ancient digital papyri, documents recording the investigation that followed the conspiracy. They weren't myths, they weren't legends written centuries later, they were official records. Created remarkably close to the events themselves, they describe the investigations, the trials, the punishments, and the names of many accused of the conspiracy. They didn't answer every question, but they proved one extraordinary fact. A conspiracy really did exist. People really were arrested, and whatever happened inside the palace, it was serious enough to trigger one of the largest political investigations of the ancient world. Up until now, I've deliberately hidden one detail, the time. Because this story sounds as though it could be almost anywhere in history. A medieval kingdom, an empire, a royal court. But it doesn't. This conspiracy unfolded not hundreds, but more than 3,000 years ago. The intended victim was a man history remembers as Ramesses III, one of the greatest rulers of the ancient world. And only now can we reveal the final piece of the puzzle. The man at the centre of this assassination plot was not simply a king, he was a pharaoh of ancient Egypt. Now we know who the victim was, the investigation truly begins. Next time, we'll reconstruct the plot itself. We'll examine the ancient Jero papyri and the secret messages, the alleged role of Queen Tay and Prince Pantaware, and ask whether one of history's oldest political conspiracies can come close to success that everybody realised. I'm Lisa, and this is Say It Anyway, and this is to be continued.